What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and in this video, we are checking out two new Xiaomi Redmi devices, the Redmi Note 12 Pro and the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus. Some of you may have already seen these phones before. They technically came out a few months back for folks in China, then in India, but this is now the global launch for the Note 12 series. So they're available in Europe and unlocked for other regions. If you're looking for a really well-spec'd smartphone in that $350 to $500 range, that's exactly what these are. And I'm going to go over everything you need to know about both of them, including what sets the regular Pro apart from the Pro Plus. But first things first, let's just quickly unbox them so I can show you what comes inside the package, since there are some differences there. Now, I first have to say that unfortunately, the color of the phones on the outside of the boxes don't match the actual phones inside. And just to add to that confusion, there's a blue phone in the purple Note 12 Pro Plus box, but I'll be sure to keep it all straight for you here. Inside each box, the first thing you'll get is a thick packet of stuff. There's a pretty nice crystal clear rubberized case to protect your new phone, as well as a whole bunch of packets of paperwork and instructions. Underneath that stuff, you'll see both of the phones there, and we'll set them to the side for just one more moment. At the very bottom of the boxes, Xiaomi does still include a USB-A to USB-C cable for charging for both, and some big fast charging wall plugs. The difference here, though, you'll notice, is that the Note 12 Pro Plus gets the 120 watt GAN charger, while the regular Note 12 Pro supports the 67 watt standard. Obviously, super quick charging speeds regardless of the difference, but if you want to charge up to 100% in like under 20 minutes, the Plus allows you to do that with its 120 watt charging speeds. So with that stuff out of the way, here are the phones themselves. And like I mentioned, my Note 12 Pro Plus is actually finished in iceberg blue. The regular Note 12 Pro is in onyx black. Both these phones come in a bunch of other colors too, white, purple, and what Redmi calls the Trend Edition. And I know they look almost identical, and I've probably confused you enough already, but to set the record straight for the remainder of this video, the Note 12 Pro Plus is on the left with the purple wallpaper and blue rear housing, and the regular Note 12 Pro is on the right with blue wallpaper and black rear housing. Size-wise, both these phones are in fact 6.67 inches. That's the screen sizes corner to corner, and there are actually differences in their overall measurements, like the body and frame of the phones, and also the weights. The Pro Plus is like 20 grams heavier. So cases for one won't exactly fit on the other, but the important bit, the screen size and overall feel in your hand, is going to be basically the same on both phones. They each have fairly minimal and even bezels all around. There might be a smidge more of a bottom chin on the regular 12 Pro, but other than that, the center hole punch selfie camera is the same, and they both have nearly an 87% screen to body ratio. Around back, the 12 Pro Plus has a frosted glass rear cover. The regular 12 Pro is more of a shiny mirrored back that attracts a lot of fingerprints. There's what feels like a metal frame on both as well, though like I said, the 12 Pro Plus is noticeably heavier in the hand, so perhaps a plastic frame or rear cover on the regular Note 12 and more premium materials on the Plus. The Plus is also a little bit thicker and a little bit more curvy too, with a tapered edge and thinner profile, but these are all super minor differences. They're both IP53 dust and splash resistant as well, so while they can't exactly go scuba diving, an accidental splash likely won't hurt them. Taking a look around at everything else, nothing on the left sides of the phones. On the right, they both have the volume buttons and power buttons, which double as fingerprint sensors. Both phones recognize my thumb and unlock very quickly. I've always liked this sensor on button setup. I found it to just be faster and easier to use than an in-display one. At the top of both phones, you'll find the headphone jack, a speaker, mic hole, and an IR blaster. And at the bottom, another speaker alongside the USB-C port and the SIM card tray. Now, unfortunately, no expandable storage with either of these phones. The SIM tray is just a dual SIM setup, but as far as the onboard storage, the Pro Plus ships with 256 gigs as its only option. The regular 12 Pro comes in 128 or 256, and here's how much storage you'll get out of the box. There are actually quite a few random pre-installed apps and games and things you can clear out to give you a bit more space. And around back, the other differentiating factor between these two phones is the camera setup. There's a 200 megapixel main lens on the Pro Plus, a 50 megapixel shooter on the regular 12 Pro. We'll dive a little deeper with that stuff in just a bit. Jumping back to the displays, interestingly enough, both these phones actually offer the exact same viewing experience. Spec-wise, their respective 6.67-inch screens are seemingly the same OLED panels with 1 billion colors, HDR10 Plus support, Dolby Vision, and they are 120 Hz high refresh rate screens as well. They're also the same 2400 by 1080 resolution, 395 pixels per inch, and side by side, I think you can tell, as long as the brightness is set about the same, the displays do look more or less identical. I'm not aware of anything specifically with the display hardware or software that sets them apart, so if the viewing experience is what you value most, and maybe you don't want to spend the extra money on the Pro Plus, in this case, you aren't missing out. Regardless of that, the screens on these phones are really pretty great. Plenty sharp, even at this big of a size. They're colorful, they're bold. Some phones are certainly brighter than these nowadays, but for the price, these devices have what I consider to be the most important screen features anyway, and I really don't have any complaints. As far as the out loud listening experience, you guys know there's nothing I love more than some great speakers. And these phones have two full-size speakers, one at the top and one at the bottom, to deliver an extra loud and very crisp sound. I personally wish every smartphone had a setup like this. Both phones sound exactly the same to me, and here's a quick sample so you can get an idea for yourself. So another area where I thought these phones might differ was with the specs, but again, these phones actually get the same exact stuff inside. They're both powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 1080 chipset, paired to the Mali G68 GPU. The only difference is that the Plus gets 8 gigs of RAM standard, while the regular gets 6 gigs, though they both can be spec'd up to 12 gigs, and my devices here each have 8, so we're even. Here are the latest Geekbench 6 scores for each device, and while the scores do differ a little bit, generally speaking, you're not going to see any major performance differences between these two phones in the real world. They both ship with Android 12 and MIUI 13, but after I filmed this unboxing, of course, they did get the Android 13 update, so we're all squared away now with the latest version of Android. On the MIUI side of things, I've always found the software experience to be relatively smooth and straightforward, though certainly a bit of a departure from the Googles and Samsungs most people would be used to. Overall, though, both these phones are fast, fluid, and so long as they can stay on top of the updates now, I think these will be pretty powerful devices for the price point. The MediaTek processors in particular have actually come a long way in recent years, and sure, these phones aren't powered by the latest flagship specs, but what you do get, I think, is still well worth the money. And I'm excited to put these phones to the test in the coming days to really see what they're capable of. The main point here, though, is that once again, if you're deciding between the Pro Plus and the regular Pro, and performance is what you're after, there's not much of a difference really between the two phones. As far as the battery capacity and charging speeds, like I mentioned earlier, there is a bit of a difference. The battery sizes are identical inside the phones. Pretty big 5,000 milliamp batteries in each, which is great. The bigger the better. And as I explained at the start, the Note 12 Pro Plus does get the faster 120 watt charging speeds versus the 67 watt on the regular Note 12 Pro. That's not to say that the regular Note is a slow charger at all. You still get 50% juice in about 15 minutes and 100% charge in nearly 45 minutes, but the sub 20 minute full charge feature on the Plus is pretty incredible. So chances are you won't be spending much time on the charger with either one of these phones really, and it's nice to see Xiaomi Redmi still pushing the limits with charging, even with devices at this price point. Finally, when it comes to the cameras, this I think is where you'll find the most significant difference between the 12 Pro Plus and the regular. Around back, the 12 Pro Plus rocks an incredible 200 megapixel f1.7 aperture main shooter paired to an 8 megapixel ultra wide lens and a 2 megapixel macro. The regular Note 12 Pro has just a 50 megapixel shooter, though that's impressive on its own, along with seemingly the same 8 megapixel ultra wide and 2 megapixel macro. The selfie lenses seem to be the same as well, 16 megapixel shooters on both, and inside the camera app, you really get features and functions on both these phones that far exceed their price points. There's pro controls, document scanning, night mode, portrait pics, video modes like short video and vlog, slow-mo, time-lapse, long exposure, tons of great options here. And on the Plus, you can utilize the full 200 megapixels of the main camera to capture incredibly detailed shots, which is really the main difference. And just snapping some quick sample shots here, it's sort of hard to tell, but the difference is definitely there. Now, are you going to be shooting in the 200 megapixel mode on the Plus every chance you get? Probably not, but the camera capabilities are pretty impressive. And for those of you who want the greatest detail and most potential with your pictures and videos, this is where the difference lies with the Note 12 Pro Plus. All in all, these two Note 12 Pros are obviously very similar. On the surface, they're almost identical devices, aside from slightly different builds, faster charging speeds, and a better camera on the Plus. Do those things justify a jump up though to buy it? It's tough to say, especially for $100 or $150 more, but what do you guys think about the new Note 12 Pro and Note 12 Pro Plus? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video though. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.